let's come to impact, and I'm going to break the you're now 3 marathons in. You just finished your
Yeah,
third, and you went under 4 hours, which look. I coached the fastest American runner to run 2:04, but your sub 4 hour marathon, a great personal achievement. And when we started this journey, both of us would have said no way. And but it's not about that. It's not about the time. And so what I'd love to do is, from your lens, what's the impact of this journey, and what's the outcome? And you can talk about sport. You can also talk about broader life and how it's impacted you professionally. And whichever order you want to go in, that's up to you.
yeah. So I was all right. Let's go. Let's split up. Let's start with the sports side. So yeah, 3 marathons in 12 months. Having never run a race before, I've gone under 4 hours, which is a lot less impressive than many, but for me was an amazing milestone. And I'm going faster, Matt. We're going to talk about
We
that
are
later.
going faster, yeah.
We're going faster. I can definitely do that. So I'm really, really excited about all the things that would take to do that, and I can see the incremental performance improvement. Um, one of the cool things is that I think being able to do something that has kind of reminded me. It's like a phrase that I use with my son when my son can't do something. When I say he's trying to learn to do something, I say, like, you can do this. You can do hard things. Like, it's okay. You'll fail and you'll keep trying. And this whole process reminded me I could do hard things, and I could do hard things because I wanted to do them. I could do them on my own agenda. This is a thing I wanted to do. Um, and I think in lots of ways, as someone who had been quite a good athlete as a kid, like a spark of something that I'd lost for years and years came back, and has given me. It's given me more confidence in myself. It's given me an ability to understand myself, and then the nature of endurance sport. Again, I never ever thought I was that guy. Like, if there's no ball, it's not a sport. Uh, basically. And I still love my football, and we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot, even though Chelsea are bad this year. But it's endurance sport has allowed me to do something that I never thought I'd be able to do, which was engage physically in a way that is completely profound mentally. It's absolutely a meditative thing. It allows me to go to a place in kind of hardness and difficulty that is really, really hard to access. And both of those things combined just give me this extra level of resilience in my day-to-day life. So I think it's really, really helped me to have a better sense of the priorities that I have in life. It's allowed me to have a better sense of my own mental resilience. It's reminded me that I can do things on my own agenda and on my own terms in ways that I didn't think I was able to for a long time. And that part has been one of the most amazing things. I really hadn't imagined that it would have such a transformative effect in that respect.
You started talking about sport, and you immediately went to. We think about it as the physical. You immediately went to the mental and the traits and the mindset side of stuff, and the direct connection between this journey that you took on for yourself and how it's impacted you professionally, which is great. And I'm assuming the sort of staying power on a day to day, your better energy in the day, better resilience,
I've
and
got,
that
I've
side
got,
of
I've got way better energy. I've got so much more energy for my day to day life. I've got a better ability to focus. I'm I get up easier in the mornings. Not least to exercise. All of those small things, you add them together, and that's such a change on your day to day. And I think that for me has been hugely transformative. I'd also say, just I think this has kind of trained my brain to think differently. Exercise has made me more adaptable. It's made me more resilient, as I said. I genuinely think it's made me a better employee. It's made me a way better father. I talked about kind of I've been open about the sort of mental health stuff earlier on, but I said to my therapist the other day, exercise has sort of sandpapered off some of the rough edges every day, and that's really how it feels, and that's how my wife would describe it as well. It just helps to make every day. Sorry, I was going to say makes every day easier. That implies that every day wasn't good. It was. It just makes things better. I am just a happier, more engaged person for doing this. Yeah, it's super profound. I'm fully all in, as you know, but like it's an amazing thing. And I think I know the one thing we talked about. So I mentioned I've done 3 marathons in 12 months, right? So London at the start, Paris at the end. In the middle.
My favorite one you've done, by the way, before I was just about to ask you about this, so I'm glad you're bringing it up because they're a fantastic marathon.
Yeah, so in the middle of those two, so in November of last year, went with some friends and ran a wine marathon, basically, for want of a better word. So it was in Beaujolais. There's a few of them in France and various other places, but you basically run from vineyard to vineyard, so 20 different vineyards. You run literally through the cellars underneath the castles, and they serve wine. So there's 16 to 19 wine stops, which I would not recommend doing all of them. Thimblefuls of wine, but they mount up over the course of the day. And incredibly, actually, we ran that in like 4:40, which I was quite surprised about, considering we were stopping drinking wine every couple of kilometers. But the reason I mention that is, to me, that's almost, in some ways, that's almost a better example of the journey that I've been on, because this was a physical thing that I went away for the weekend. I went away, without my family, which I wouldn't have felt able to do before. I wouldn't have prioritized doing that. I would have wanted to be at home and be with my family and be engaged, without realizing that if you don't enjoy yourself and you don't take time for yourself, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on before you help others, right? And all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you need to do that. Doing a physical thing, to your point of doing a challenge, do you want to go on a trek with a few buddies? This is a full marathon, running 4 and a bit hours with a couple of my best friends, drinking a nice glass of wine every now and then, and some pretty bad ones too. They don't give the best stuff out for the marathons, but the amazing that it would just felt like an amazing demonstration of making exercise part of my life, and the journey that we went on as a group that day just was so evocative. I was really quite tearful coming over the end of the line, like arm in arm with one of my best buddies, about something that I 2 years ago would have thought was absolutely impossible for me to even consider doing, let alone actually go and do. And to stand there and do it with friends and sort of see that journey was an incredibly profound moment, really.
It's absolutely magic. It's it highlights my 2 things. Is you started when we first started talking about marathons in this conversation. You said, I thought I was going to hate it, and when we think about training for a marathon or an Ironman or a 5K or anything, it's a solo pursuit.
Yeah.
What's coming out for me is that, number one, it's been anything but solo. You've got your buddies and partners at work. You've got your buddies. You've got your family involved. You and I obviously coaching relationship, etc. But it's really sort of it goes beyond you. And number 2, it really sounds like you're having fun, like you're enjoying it.
I love it. I mean, it's. I think you can overcomplicate everything in life, right? But I think there is something just incredibly powerful about just placing one step in front of the other, not having any headphones on, just being out and seeing what the world's going to give you that day and what your body's ready for. And I go out, and the positivity that brings to me is amazing. I just love doing it. I just love going out and doing this. I think I love running. I absolutely love it. I put a load of miles in the legs last year. I'll do the same this year. I'll do it with my buddies. I don't know, Sunday this weekend, I'm going to just run to some friend's house to go and have lunch with them, and it's great. And it really, as you say, I think that was one of the things that was always in my mind. I'm definitely in a professional context. I see myself as a real team player, and I want to engage with the people around me. All the sports I played were team sports, and it was all about the kind of collective victory. And I think in my mind, I'd kind of bracketed running as a thing that's very solo, very solitary. and the community that's come about from that, and the community that sits within endurance sports is absolutely incredible. And yeah, so genuinely some of the happiest moments of my life, honestly. I mean, other than marriage and kids and a couple of other bits and pieces. So yeah, doing some of those things. It's particularly London, kind of getting on that, getting through that journey. Obviously, that was the one that really, yeah. London closed the door on all this on a lot of the stuff that had happened that caused me to be so burnt out, really. And then since then, it's been more the longer term athletic journey has been kind of the new bit we've been on. So I guess those are maybe my two chapters of what we've done. And I remember you said to me that I remember you called me the night before the marathon, Friday night before the marathon. And one of the things he said a few things, but one of the things he said was, just remember that today you won by getting on the start line. And that's actually what it's about when it comes down to it. When it comes down to it, exercise, you win by getting on the start line. You win by just getting it and doing it and putting one step in front of the other. And if you turn up and do that with consistency, irrespective of what you're doing, you don't have to have a time goal, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that commitment to the thing that you want to do and doing it for yourself is transformative, I think.
You are the beacon, the best example I can think of the power of sport, well-being, and all the associated habits, taking on a challenge and how it impacts broader life. And I just want to say, fantastic so far. You haven't messed it up. You're an immeasurable disappointment in many areas, but not in this. But thank you so much for your transparency, Ben, and thanks so much for being a part of Purple Patch.
Thanks to you for a lot, Matt, as well, because I wouldn't be here without a coach. And yeah, so the guys who have mentored me and suggested I should get in touch with you, I owe them a heck of a lot too. So that journey that you and I have been on has been absolutely amazing. And thank you for so much that you've done for me as a person. So, and long may it continue.
Long may it continue, because the finish line of Paris is never the finish line of the journey. That's the important thing. So Ben, Thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.